Hey guys, I had a phone call interrupt my reading, but back to the book. He was perhaps one of the greatest philosophers who ever lived. A friend of humanity, wishing for money only that he might give to the poor. A friend to the animals, his heart was concerned only with the happiness of others, and that was the part I wanted to kind of focus on, where they said his heart was concerned only with the happiness of others. But see, their misinterpretation from looking from the outside and not somebody like him. Because everyone in this group has this. You have this, okay? There's no way you could love yourself enough to go through with signing up for this group, listening to me and then signing up for the group, I guess. And loving yourself enough to do the unthinkable, to stop eating. Oh my gosh. The only reason that thought could even cross your mind that that's possible is because you have a love for yourself. Now, no matter how complete that love is, it's rooted, and you're clearing all of the lies out, all of the basically what I'm saying is you love yourself enough to do all this. That means that you have all of what they just said here. Friend of humanity, wishing for money only that he might give to the poor. Now, you see, now there's another misinterpretation. People aren't looking to just hand out their money, but they do help those in need. Okay? Quote, unquote. You can tell, I can tell if there's a need. But, really, that's all based on what we expect in this world, but really we have no needs at all. So this, wishing for money only that he might give to the poor, no. Because he uses discernment when he's doing that, I guarantee it. It's just really interesting. This is you guys, friend of humanity, wishing for money, so they can also give to the poor. How about that? I think that's a better interpretation. A friend to animals, his heart was concerned only with the happiness of others. And again, we already covered that. We're happy with ourselves first. We make our circumstances happy. We don't choose things that drain us, that drag us down. We don't choose to be in that. We can make a conscious choice to say no to any of that, no matter what it might be. That's what a royal does. Okay? And that's what you guys are. During the last quarter of every 100 years, an attempt is made by those masters of whom I have spoken to help on the spiritual progress of humanity. Towards the close of each century, you will invariably find that an outpouring or upheaval of spirituality, or call it mysticism if you prefer, has taken place. Some one or more persons have appeared in the world as their agents, and a greater or less amount of occult knowledge or teaching has been given out. And you see, now look, check this. This is from The Key to Theosophy, page 194, H.P. Blavatsky. That was from him. And look at how he treats the word occult. You see, religion wants you to think that everything outside of what they teach is occult. Check it. Think of it that way. Everything outside of the doctrine of your religion, if you have one, everything outside of it is called occult. Blanket statement, all of it has to be occult if we're not teaching it, because we're straight from God. We're over you. But you see, Jesus, who tried to free you from that, said the kingdom of God is within. when they were saying, where would we look? Where do we go? Well, ask the government. They'll tell you. No, he said the kingdom of God is within. So nobody can fool you on that one. How could somebody fool you and say, hey, it's over there? So it's here. No, I already know it's within, so I don't need you or anybody else. So everything outside of religion was called a cult, and here's how he put that. He said, a greater or less amount of occult knowledge or teaching has been given out. So he saw a cult as a good thing outside of religion. Now get this. This guy, Saint Germain, religious leaders hated him. Pretty much without exception. They all hated him. You see, you can even they could be enamored with him in some way. And then they meet him, and then the weight of that meetup sinks in, and they realize, wow, this dude might just get in, and, the king might like him better than me. And look what happened. They hated him because the king usually liked him better than them, hung out with him more because he's more interesting, because these religious people are fucking boring if, they're believing their shit. That's boring. I mean, it's all inside a box. It's all right there. Man wrote it down. This is what I'm allowed to do and be. Disempowered. Think that I need somebody outside of me to save me, or I'm going to hell. So I have to kiss someone's ass. Fuck you, man. Fuck that. The Comte de Saint-Germain was certainly the greatest Oriental adept Europe has seen during the last centuries. That was the same guy said this in the the quote prior was in a writing called The Key to Theosophy, and then this quote was from Theosophical Glossary. So 2 different books that this guy wrote. You see, now I don't even know what that really means. Oriental adept Europe has seen. So I guess the best at sounding and acting like the people in the Orient. They did talk about how he even knew the dialect of different regions in the world better than the locals in some cases. Crazy. Among the strange, mysterious beings with which the 18th century was so richly dowered, that's the 1700s for anybody who doesn't know or isn't thinking that. You might be thinking 1800s. No one has commanded more universal comment and attention. Now, keep in mind, this universal comment and attention is not from people trying to prop him up. This is coming mostly from people who hated him. Okay. If there's facts to be facts and they're going to be spoken, who could speak them more definitively than your enemy? If they're truth tellers, they have to say the truth. No one has commanded more universal comment and attention than the mystic who was known by the name of the Comte de Saint-Germain. A hero of romance, a charlatan, a swindler, and an adventurer, rich and varied were the names that showered freely upon him. Hated by the many, okay, focus guys, hated by the many. Why? Because when you can't help yourself but stick to the truth, most people are going to not like, at a minimum, what's coming out of your mouth when it's straight, hard truth. So hated by the many. Hated by the many. A lot of these writings are from the many, okay? Loved and revered. The facts they're stating, these people aren't going to lie about stuff that's going to make him sound better. Oh yeah, he teleported. I fucking hate his guts. Loved and reverenced by the few. Time has not yet lifted the veil which screened his true mission from the vulgar speculators of the period. Then, as now, the occultist, the guy that freaking was a friend of humanity, wishing for money only that he might give to the poor, friend of the animals, heart was concerned only with the happiness of others. This guy, the occultist, somehow he's like that, but he's not believing religion. In fact, opposite of religion, like hating religion because it's deceptive, tricky, liars, controllers, disempowerers. If there was a Satan, they are it. Then, as now, the occultist was dubbed charlatan by the ignorant. Only some men and women here and there realized the power of which he stood possessed. Keep in mind who's writing this here is a woman that died in 1915, alive in the 1800s. She knew, and she did research as well. The friend and counselor of kings and princes, an enemy to ministers who were skilled in deception. Let me start that sentence over. The friend and counselor of kings and princes, an enemy to ministers. What are they ministering? What are they administering? Lies. Who were skilled in deception. Love that. There's a way to put it. He brought skilled like it's a good thing, right? Skilled in deception. He brought his great knowledge to help the West, to stave off in some small measure the storm clouds that were gathering so thickly around some nations. Alas, his words of warning fell on deafened ears, and his advice went all unheeded. Looking back from this distance of time, it will be of interest to many students of mysticism to trace the life, so far as it may yet be told, of this great occultist. Sketches are to be found here and there from various writers, mostly antagonistic, but no coherent, detailed account of his life has yet appeared. This is very largely owing to the fact that the most interesting and important work done by M. de Saint-Germain lies buried in the secret archives of many princely and noble families. With this fact, we have become acquainted. Now, keep in mind, too, some of these people were funding these, whatever he was doing, some of the works. With this fact, we have become acquainted during the careful investigations which we have been making on the subject. Where the archives are situated, we have also learned, but we have not yet in all cases received permission to make the necessary researches. So this is the author, probably back in the early 1900s at some point. I mean, who knows how long she was writing this book, I don't know. But they were researching from these private libraries, these books that didn't exist outside of these spaces. It must be borne in mind that the Comte de Saint-Germain, alchemist and mystic, does not belong to the French family of Saint-Germain, from which descended Count Robert de Saint-Germain. The latter was born in the year 1708. Now, this other guy from 1708 was mistaken, or maybe purposely, I don't know, as being the Comte Saint-Germain. And he wasn't, obviously. He's Count Robert de Saint-Germain. See, I'm saying it like that for whatever reason. The latter was born in the year 1708. Was first a Jesuit and entered later, in turn, the French, in turn meaning in order of this, and entered later the French, Palatine, and Russian military services. He became Danish Minister of War under Count Struensee, and re-entered the French service, and at the beginning of the reign of Louis XVI, he tried it. You got the XVI. I'm not always reading Roman numbers. Roman. Yeah, that's a whole other story. He tried as Minister of War to introduce various changes into the French army. These raised a violent storm of indignation. He was disgraced by the king, finally died 1778. He is so often confounded with his mystic and philosophic namesake that for the sake of clearing up the ignorance that prevails on the matter, it is well to give these brief details showing the difference between the two men. Unfortunately, the disgrace into which the soldier fell is but too often attributed to the mystic. So, some of the reputation was derived from people thinking that this guy that was in all these armies was actually the Comte Saint-Germain. That M. de Saint-Germain had intimate relations. See, here's another word. Whenever we hear intimate now, whenever somebody uses the word intimate, it's always sex. Okay. Back then, they were a little smarter than we are now. We're kind of dumbed down. We don't. Open a dictionary and look at the words. See how many of them you're familiar with. It's like another language that you never knew. These people knew. Very adept at English. So that Saint-Germain had intimate relations with many high persons. So he had close relationships with many high persons in various countries. It's quite undeniable. The testimony on this point being overwhelming. Now, me personally, when somebody comes out with a book like this that talks about a human being that's able to do this stuff, that kind of gives me confidence that maybe it's for the betterment of mankind and for us to know who we really are. And so I tend to trust the author more. I mean, I don't trust, everything's up, right, for debate, because there could be something in here talking about how the Earth's a ball. And you know what? I just have to take that as that's what that person believes at the time. That doesn't mean they're lying about everything else. Because we do have our pivotal moments, don't we? Where we know mostly bullshit, but we find out something that was really true and profound, that it was a huge lie. And once we find that out, everything else is on the chopping block, but you haven't gotten to the point where you've chopped off the heads of all your dumb beliefs yet. Like me, we keep shedding lies. My lie is, oh, you need flavor when you're bored. That such relations, okay, he had close relations with kings and people in high places in countries all around the world. These relationships should cause jealousy and unkindly speculation is unfortunately not rare in any century. Let us, however, see what some of these princely friends say. When questioned by the Herzog Karl August as to the supernatural age of this mystic, the Landgraf von Hessen-Philipps Barchfield, replied, "We cannot speak with certainty on that point. The fact is the Count is acquainted with details about which only contemporaries of that period could give us information. It is now the fashion in Cassel to listen respectfully to his statements and not to be astonished at anything. The Count is known not to be an importunate sycophant. He is a man of good society, to whom all are pleased to attach themselves. He, at all events..." Now, you guys, as I'm reading this, I'm going to ask you something, and you can do whatever you want. You're free to do whatever you want. You know how I am about freedom. If you want to be stupid, I'm with you. Be stupid. I'm not really with you, though, because I hate deception, but pay attention to the points of what this guy was doing, what he was capable of, okay? This is very key in me even bothering to spend my time doing what I'm doing right now to produce this vocal, which I'm probably going to put out everywhere. And I think maybe some people will resonate. This guy was a human being, okay, this Comte Saint-Germain, but read what he was doing. Read what this guy was and is, possibly. I don't know if he's still alive. If he chose to die. If he gave up the ghost. I don't know. So, I'm inspired. we have a reason to be here. We have a huge reason to be here. Do you know how exciting it is? And you do. When you see greatness come from what you put your effort behind. Do you ever see that? Get excited? Because you see that, like, there's the dopamine hit. I guess you can call it that. When I post something and it's true, and I see a lot of people resonating with it, that excites me. That makes me happy. So I'm being straight up with you. I like that. I like that feeling. I like that feeling that I know that other people are being empowered. In general, that's what I want. I want people to be empowered to do whatever they want, to be the best or be the best for you. Whatever that is. That's what I should say. Because it's all honorable. It's all an upward trend. And I know that's what you guys all want. Everyone listening to me here, no matter what you happen to be doing, what you've settled into in your life, one meal a day, or you're just liquids now, or if I post this in my other group, if the Purium shakes are keeping you off of food, this stuff makes me happy. And you knowing this about this person, that you're capable of doing everything this guy did and possibly does. And it's possible that we are a number of people that were meant for this time to help usher in a new world. You're in that army, if you want to call it that. You're in the army to save those who are meant to be saved. You're not saving people, you know that, right? But that's what it would be seen as. You're saving people's lives one at a time by showing them how to get rid of their cancer. Not by telling them what they should do, but just saying, yeah, that's kind of how I live all the time because it's a great lifestyle. Whatever that is. If it keeps you healthy and you're happy, spread it around. You're increasing the love in the world. You don't have to be a breatharian. Though not indulging in those needs, those stimulants, whatever they are, is the highest you can be. Or at least the highest in the physical form of making choices. That's not the highest. You know, some of us, I'm not us yet. I'm not this yet, okay? So forget the us that I just said, but because I like to include all of us, like you, me, everybody. Sleep. That's another one of those drugs. Sleep's a drug. Because we can't handle being alive in our full connectivity. We can't handle being alive. Even without the connection, right? We can't handle to be alive for more than X number of hours, 16 hours, 20 hours, whatever the case may be. I probably average right now, if I took all the nights and just averaged them all together, I would probably average about an hour and a half, something like that, just from falling asleep. I'm not counting closing my eyes and sitting there, which I rarely do. I haven't done in a long time. But I don't count that as sleep. If you're cognizant of everything around you, you're resting. And that's what these guys, the autonomous, do. A way to keep yourself from falling into a sleep like that, I know I'm going way off here, but a way to keep yourself from that is to sit, because you don't want to lay down in the corpse position. To rest, okay, quote unquote. You're not resting when you do that. You're showing, oh my God, this fucking crazy. I can't believe that this didn't come to my mind before. When you lay down like a corpse, you're basically submitting yourself to the little death that you're about to embark on. That's what it is. literally you're detaching most of your body from the spirit. It's just there's enough spirit to kind of keep you alive. You don't heal in your sleep. You just feel better because you couldn't handle the attention, the healing, the extra spirit that was coming into your body at the time. It was too much. We can't handle too much love at one time. We can't. Because that increasing energy that you have, that's God. It actually is an increasing energy. That's why you start yawning, because your body's detoxing even more. So the yawning gets deeper and deeper and deeper and harder to handle, and you feel like, oh man, my body wants to go to sleep. Of course. It does. It wants to die. It's like, fuck, I'm done. Enough healing for now. Jeez. And so you just doze. Or it could be emotions, low emotions, even high emotions when you're too high on life, practically. And again, that would be what I just talked about. You feel like you need to sleep. It wears you out because it's extra healing. Lots of energy. Takes all that extra energy in that you have and adds some. So it tires you out. And we see it as our body wants to sleep. There's a reason the native, quote unquote, Native Americans, even they think it's a stupid term. They weren't the first people. Who knows who the first people were? Wow. This stuff is mind-blowing. So you're laying down to submit yourself as a corpse to go through with the little death you're about to do. And when you sit up, you're basically making a statement as well that, you're manifesting that, hey, I'm not going to sleep. I'm sitting here. So sit there in a chair and hold some keys in your hand and have your hand, your wrist rested on your knee or whatever the case. Doesn't even have to be that. It could be whatever. Just make sure that when the keys fall, and they will, they hit the floor and wake you up. That's what billionaires would do. Maybe those who actually got their billions, honestly, because you can. They want people to see rich as something to hate. They want everybody to think like a slave and to hate that which is rich, that which they stole from the peasants, you see. Everybody in this world could live like a king. There's that kind of abundance. There is. Don't let the liars lie to you anymore. Everything is overly abundant, man. The only thing worth anything is energy, and everything that needs energy needs us. The gold needs energy to have value. It needs our energy, our attention, our thought that it's worth something, the intrinsic value that we give to different things. So we're meant to be rich in every way, spiritually, physically, wisdom, economy. You should never have to need or beg or think you have to grovel to make a fun time happen. Never. Life is meant to be heaven. The only reason it started becoming hell on earth is because people became more detached from God, from the real one, not the one they stole with the same name and acted like he wanted you to kiss his ass. Not that one. Not the one that supposedly told people all through the Old Testament to go murder whole civilizations because they wouldn't kiss his ass. Not that guy either. Just the form, the energy, the intelligence that fills us all is what they want us to be detached from. So they name it God, and tell you enough truth to suck you in, but lie about the rest to keep you from being empowered, because then you become a God that doesn't need anything from outside of you, and that's how we're all supposed to be, because that is the ultimate happiness. Are you happy when you need? Are you as happy as you can be when you need something? No, you're not, because you have to reach for it. It's like a drug, like you gotta reach out. It's an effort. It can be fun when we're unbalanced, when we're denatured, but when we're natural, when we're totally natural, all that stuff is a burden, reaching from outside of us in a purest sense, and I'm not there yet. But we're meant to be. And this book is written because they feel the same way. So, reading on. Let's see if I remember where I was. Statements to not be astonished. I'm just going to read this paragraph again. That M. de Saint Germain had intimate relations. Now, the other guy, keep in mind, the other guy was the Count Robert. So he was not the M. I don't know what they mean by M. de Saint Germain. Had intimate relations with many high persons in various countries, and intimate meaning close, is quite undeniable. The testimony on this point being overwhelming, that such relations should cause jealousy and unkindly speculation is unfortunately not rare in any century. Let us, however, see what some of these princely friends say. When questioned by the Herzog Karl August as to the supernatural age of this mystic, the Landgraf von Hessen-Philipps Barchfield replied, "We cannot speak with certainty on that point. The fact is, the Count is acquainted with details about which only contemporaries of that period could give us information. It is now the fashion in Cassel to listen respectfully to his statements and not be astonished at anything." I'm going to read that last part again. It is now the fashion in Cassel, among everybody, those who hated and loved, to listen respectfully to his statements and not to be astonished at anything. The Count is known not to be an importunate sycophant. He is a man of good society, to whom all are pleased to attach themselves. And that was his interpretation, because he was around other people like him who liked him, but the majority did not. It was either, I think with him, it was either love-hate, and that's kind of how it is with us. Almost a love-hate, though we don't hate. He, at all events, stands in close relation with many men of considerable importance and exercises an incomprehensible influence on others. You ever stand in a room and start talking and everybody wants to hear what you're saying? No joke. They don't all love it or love you, but they listen. My cousin, the Landgraf Karl von Hessen, is much attached to him. They are eager Freemasons and work together at all sorts of hidden arts. He is supposed to have intercourse with ghosts and supernatural beings. And I have to stop there because that word, again, intimate, intercourse, like it's all sex in most people's minds. So intercourse means dialogue also. Okay, there's other meanings here. He is supposed to have dialogue, maybe, or whatever. It could be something else, with ghosts and supernatural beings. Telepathy, control, I don't know. Now that wouldn't be control, because intercourse indicates both ways. With ghosts and supernatural beings who appear at his call. Who appear at his call. Wow. See, so he was summoning another thing that's seen as evil by religion. He was summoning ghosts and supernatural beings, or calling them, who appear at his call. He's telling them, hey, come here. Interesting. Very interesting there. You see, you guys, when you're in your spirit power and embodied, you are untouchable. Even the fucking ghosts can't mess with you. They can't even really try to scare you because nothing they do scares you. The things that used to scare you. I'll speak for me. The things that used to scare me about ghosts, I ain't scared of any of that shit. I laugh, man. I want stuff like that. Let me take that back. I don't want it in the fact that I want it. I want to experience it all the time or something. But I'd like to see it try, I guess is what I'm saying. I would like to see them try to flex so I can laugh. That's what I'm saying. So he called them because he has a power. Doesn't mean you command people and things. It just... So maybe I'm not really knowing how to interpret this. Maybe the call is more like, hey, if you can, come here, kind of a deal. I'm making it sound more like it's a demand. Who knows? Let's leave. I'm going to leave it there. Moavian, in spite of his personal prejudice against M. de Saint-Germain, is obliged to acknowledge the feeling of the Duke towards the great alchemist. The great alchemist is Saint-Germain. For on his supposed death being mentioned in the Brunswick newspaper of the period, this is really key, wherein M. de Saint-Germain was spoken of as a man of learning, a lover of truth, devoted to the good, and a hater of baseness and deception. This is really good. The Duke himself wrote to the editor expressing his approbation of the announcement. So he's saying, yeah, it's true. But you see, these people were involved in deception, so of course they didn't love all that. They didn't love it, they acknowledged it. So let me read it again, okay? Because this is something myself could aspire to. M. de Saint-Germain was spoken of as a man of learning, a lover of truth, devoted to the good, and a hater of baseness and deception. The latter of this, the last, the hater of baseness and deception, takes a bit more proof. Because you see, you can say you're devoted to the good. Yeah, it looks like it. A lover of truth. Yeah, it looks like it. Man of learning. Yeah, I've heard. Sounds smart, whatever. Hater of baseness and deception. Not 100% sure of that, because I've heard him talk against things that I believe are true. Right? That could be your take. But he's still going to say that he approves that message. He is a hater of baseness and deception, though he can't prove it. That actually becomes proven over time through relationships with other people. They know. My partner knows who I am. Like there's nothing hidden. She knows me. And I know her. Nobody else is going to know the things they know. And that's where that reputation, I guess, came up with the people he knew. And most of the people who were in high places wanted to be around him, at least. Even if they hated him, they listened to him because they knew he spoke truth. And they need to bend truth or use truth to their advantage. They're going to listen. The Duke himself wrote to the editor expressing his approbation of the announcement. So this hater is agreeing that he was all these things. But you know what? You guys are all these things. You're learning, or you wouldn't know about this fasting stuff. A lover of truth? Of course you are. Of course you are. You might hang on to some things that we disagree on. You know, all of us have some things we disagree on, for sure. But we still love the truth. So if it presents itself and we remove our conditioning enough, then we start seeing that 100%. And then everything just starts falling down. Like anything that's not true, you don't even need a second to know that it's not true. You just know it's not true. You just, boom, you feel it. Like, this is trash, man. Come on. Because everything's judged on a very basic, one basic thought for me is, does this empower or disempower people? Does it require people to need more than they have? Or does it require people to only have what's inside? And if it requires them to only have what's inside, like what I'm reading to you right now, and what I'm saying to you right now, then it's just, hang on, I'm gonna start another clip.